This is an iHeart podcast.
Hey sis, it's Mandy Money from the Brown Ambition podcast. Are you wondering, how am I going to break free from this paycheck to paycheck life? How do I get into the stock market? Is that my 401k? Is it my HSA? What even are these things? We have y'all covered at Brown Ambition. I'm your host, Mandy Money. I'm a career and money expert. I help women start building generational wealth to get the dose of empowerment, strategy, and community that only Brown Ambition can offer. Listen to Brown Ambition on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, when's the last time you've listened to Hot 99.5? Because we have all of the hit music, but also a lot more. Like Intern John in your morning show. I'm Elizabeth Bethany. I want to make sure you always know about the latest events, deals, and things we're making fun of around the DMV.
I love this station. You talk about real stuff.
And Nick Gomez gets you access to all of your favorite artists. And we're all giving a bunch of things away every day. In fact, you might even be able to win $1 million.
Oh, snap. I won, kill. Awesome.
We're DC's #1 hit music station. Hot 99.5.
Hello, from Wonder Media Network, I'm Jenny Kaplan, and this is Womanica. This month we're talking about outsiders, women who marched to the beat of their own drum and rejected stereotypes about what women should be. They're aesthetic pioneers, norm benders, and often some of the only women in their field. Today we're talking about a remarkable midwife, political activist, and writer who penned groundbreaking legislation and advocated for women's rights across Mali. Let's meet Aouta Kéita. Aouta was born on July 12, 1912 in Bamako, which was then part of French Sudan, what we now know as Mali. She was born into an elite family. Her mother was one of the prestigious Toucouleur ethnic group, and her father, a veteran of the French army, was deeply committed to education. Due to her family's status, Aouta was one of the few African girls allowed to attend French colonial school. Early on, Aouta stood out. In a time and place where girls were expected to fulfill the roles of wives and mothers, she instead pursued a career. The career options available to women at the time were constrained. She continued her education in Senegal in 1931. There, she studied to become a midwife, entering a medical profession dominated by colonial authority and male oversight. By the time she was 18 years old, she was already working across remote parts of French Sudan, often serving communities with no access to basic health care. Her first location was Gao, a rural region of French Sudan that allowed Aouta to confront the inequality in her country. Aouta didn't just learn a new language in Gao, she learned a different culture. She integrated local techniques into her practice and took up sewing to foster closer friendships with the women she served. Through those relationships, she learned more about the injustices of colonial rule and wanted to be part of something to fight it. So began Aouta's political awakening. In 1946, Aouta joined the African Democratic Rally. The organization brought together various French colonies, which were brewing with increasingly anti-colonial sentiments following World War II. The RDA, as it was often called, was one of the leading voices for African independence at the time. Aouta quickly rose through the ranks, eventually becoming one of the party's most vocal advocates. In 1957, she helped found the Union of Salaried Women of Bamako, which was created to give voice to women in politics. But even within this progressive political movement, Aouta stood out as a woman, as a divorcee, and as someone who refused to stay in the background. In 1959, she made history when she became the first woman elected to the National Legislative Assembly of Mali, then still known as the Sudanese Republic. Her presence in parliament wasn't just symbolic. When Mali gained independence in 1960, Aouta was part of forming the foundations of the new nation when she helped draft its constitution. She was the only woman in party leadership when she helped pass the Marriage and Guardianship Code. With this code, Mali became the first West African country to have a legal framework that governed marriage. That included measures to limit dowry payments, prohibit desertion, and stop forced marriage. After putting in decades of activism, Aouta was pushed out of government by a political rival, the wife of Mali's first president. Aouta was isolated, politically and professionally. She gave up midwifery in 1966. When the president of Mali was overthrown in a coup, she left the country and settled in the Republic of Congo. She lived there in exile for more than a decade. But Aouta never disappeared. In 1975, she published her autobiography called African Woman. It's one of the first political memoirs by an African woman. In it, she tells her story on her own terms, clear, sharp, and unrelenting. The book won the Grand Literary Prize of Black Africa. Aouta returned to Mali in 1979 and passed away the following year. She was 67 years old. Her legacy lives on in her writing, in the laws she worked to create, and in the generations of women she's inspired to take up space, speak out, and push back. All month, we're talking about outsiders. For more information, find us on Facebook and Instagram at Womanica Podcast. Special thanks to Liz Kaplan, my favorite sister and co-creator. As always, we'll be taking a break for the weekend. Talk to you on Monday.
This is an iHeart podcast.